I want you to listen to me very carefully, because what I'm about to say may challenge everything you believed about your struggles, your failures, and your mental state. There are two kinds of people in this world: those who go through life defeated, tired, complaining, surviving one day at a time, and those who stand tall in the face of adversity, smile when others break, rise when others quit, and win. The difference: it is not intelligence, it is not luck, it is not education. It is what I call a positive mental attitude. And let me be clear, this is not just thinking good thoughts. This is not surface-level optimism. This is not plastering a smile on your face when your soul is breaking. No, positive mental attitude is a spiritual power. It is the ability to see through the fog of difficulty and still act with faith, precision, and purpose. It is the only known antidote to failure, and it is the foundation of all lasting success. I spent over 25 years interviewing the most powerful men of our time: Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller. Men who built empires not because life was easy, but because they developed this indestructible mindset. They did not fear failure. They invited it. They did not surrender to setbacks. They studied them. They did not collapse under pressure. They learned to transmute defeat into success. And so can you. But first, let me ask you something. What is controlling your mind today? Is it fear, doubt, self-pity, resentment? Or is it faith, purpose, gratitude, desire? Because the mind does not remain neutral. It is always under the influence of something. If you do not direct it, the world will. If you do not master it, the devil will. That is a truth I discovered when I finally confronted my greatest enemy, myself. Listen to me now. Your mental attitude is the only thing over which you have complete, unchallenged, and unchallengeable control. You can control it if you wish. That truth will either set you free or offend your excuses. Because what you believe, you become. What you think about, you attract. What you dwell on, you eventually live out. You say, but I've tried to stay positive and life keeps hitting me. Then I ask you, what is your definiteness of purpose? Because no man can develop a strong mental attitude without a goal so burning, so consuming, so magnificent that even failure trembles in its presence. Show me a man without a purpose, and I'll show you a man who drifts. And the drifter, my friend, is always in the devil's control. But show me a man who knows what he wants, who wakes up with fire in his belly and vision in his mind, and I'll show you a man who cannot be broken. To develop an unbreakable, positive mental attitude, you must first decide exactly what you want. Believe without wavering that you will achieve it. Act daily in harmony with that belief. No excuses, no waiting for motivation, no depending on outside circumstances. Let me say something most will never tell you. The world does not owe you encouragement. The universe does not pause to comfort your weakness, but it will always reward definiteness backed by faith. When a man decides that he will not quit, that he will not surrender to negative thinking, and that his mind is his, not his enemy's, then something magical happens. He begins to attract what he needs. People appear. Opportunities emerge. Strength he never knew he had begins to flood him. And failure? Failure begins to fear him. But this transformation only begins when you understand this next secret. Negative thoughts are not visitors, they are invaders. If you tolerate them, they will take over your home, your mind. If you entertain them, they will eat your purpose from the inside. And if you let them linger, they will convince you to quit on the very thing God placed you here to achieve. So you must do what I call cosmic housekeeping. Take inventory of what you think. Monitor your inner speech. And when you catch your mind drifting toward fear, doubt, worry, resentment, stop it like you would a criminal at your door. Replace it with gratitude, with faith, with the voice of power that says, I was not born to be broken. I was not created to be weak. I am made of the same substance that built mountains, that formed galaxies, that breathes through the lungs of champions. Now let me address the biggest lie that keeps people weak. I'm just not a positive person. Rubbish. You were not born positive or negative. You were conditioned. Your environment trained you. Your experiences shaped you. But nothing is set in stone unless you let it be. What has been learned can be unlearned. What has been programmed can be rewritten. The key is repetition. You become what you repeatedly do. You believe what you repeatedly say. And your attitude will reflect the dominant thoughts you entertain over time. So if you want to develop an unbreakable mental attitude, you must start with this. Control your input. Feed your mind daily with faith, courage, and truth. Speak power even when you feel pain. Read the words of greatness until they burn inside you. There is no shortcut. There is no hack. But there is a path. And it begins with one decision, that no matter what life throws at you, your attitude is yours. Not your enemies. Not your critics. Not your pasts. Yours. And that, my friend, is the beginning of power. If you want to develop an unbreakable positive mental attitude, then you must understand the power of autosuggestion. What is autosuggestion? It is the method by which your subconscious mind becomes the soil for either weeds or fruit. Whatever you repeatedly say to yourself, whether truth or lie, your mind accepts, absorbs, and ultimately believes. Your success is always preceded by a conversation. Not with someone else, but with yourself. Your inner dialogue is either an architect of greatness or a silent assassin of dreams. The man who rises daily and says, I will win, I will persist, I will not be denied, begins to shape his reality through the sheer momentum of mental faith. The man who wakes up and says, nothing ever works for me. I'm tired, I can't do this. That man dies before he even leaves his bed. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But belief must be forged daily through repetition. It is not enough to hope once. You must condition the mind like a muscle daily, intentionally, ruthlessly. Take 5 minutes each morning to speak life into your purpose, not passively, not softly, with fire, with strength, with clarity. Say, I am powerful beyond measure. My purpose burns stronger than my fear. I attract exactly what I need because I expect nothing less. You may not feel it at first. That's normal. The subconscious is not changed by feelings. It is changed by repetition with emotion. Say it again and again and again until the voice of victory becomes louder than the voice of doubt. Now let's go deeper. An unbreakable attitude is also impossible without self-discipline. You cannot master your emotions if you cannot master your habits. You cannot hold a positive vibration if you are held captive by negative rituals. Discipline is the bridge between thought and reality. Without it, your good intentions are dreams and your destiny is delayed. The men I studied, Carnegie, Hill, Edison, Schwab, they did not rise on talent alone. They rose because they governed themselves. They understood that the man who cannot control his thinking, his time, his appetites, is a slave in a world designed for kings. So I ask you, what do you tolerate that weakens your spirit? What distractions do you invite that delay your progress? What comforts do you cling to that rob your future? An unbreakable mental attitude is not born in comfort. It is born in discipline under pressure. It is forged when you say, I will read instead of scroll. I will rise instead of sleep. I will speak power instead of complaint. Because every time you choose discipline over impulse, your inner strength grows. And every time you surrender to ease, your potential dies a little more. Now let's talk about perhaps the most vital truth I discovered after years of studying success and failure. Every adversity carries with it the seed of an equal or greater benefit. If you truly believe that, you can never lose. You may bleed, you may fall, you may suffer, but you will never be broken. because you'll know this is not the end, it is the test before elevation. Look back on your own life. The greatest lessons didn't come in comfort, they came in collapse. The greatest clarity didn't come when things were easy, it came when the storm hit and you had to decide whether to drown or rise. So I say to you, develop the habit of expecting the good in the bad. Train your mind to say, this pain is preparing me. This failure is redirecting me. This delay is protecting me. And what happens? You become unshakable. You become dangerous to defeat. Because life can't hurt a man who grows stronger every time he is hit. Now, let me reveal another core teaching from my life's work. You are never a victim of circumstance. You are only ever a victim of your response. Two men can face the same setback. One becomes bitter, the other becomes better. The difference? Mental attitude. When life slaps you across the face, you get to decide, will I curse it or will I bless it as the teacher that it is? When someone betrays you, you get to decide, will I become resentful or will I become wiser and stronger in boundaries? You cannot control what happens, but you always control what it becomes. This is the great secret of positive mental attitude. It doesn't remove difficulty, it redefines it. It doesn't stop the storm, it teaches you how to walk through it with purpose. Now let me warn you, there will be people who hate your mindset. They will mock your optimism. They will call you delusional, unrealistic, or naive. Ignore them. Most people are addicted to mediocrity. They've made a habit of hopelessness. They are threatened by anyone who dares to rise while they've made comfort with crawling. You must cut off mental infection at the source. Surround yourself only with those who speak life. Avoid those who feed your fear. Tell me who your enemies are, and I will tell you who you are becoming. But also, tell me who your friends are, and I will tell you the limits of your future. Environment is stronger than will. If you spend your time in darkness, don't expect your mind to shine. You must choose carefully what you allow to influence your attitude, because what enters your ears enters your spirit. Finally, let me leave you with this truth. You do not need permission to develop this power. You do not need a degree, a title, or approval. You need only one thing, a decision. A decision to own your thoughts. A decision to lead your mind instead of being led. A decision to become the kind of person that nothing can break because your attitude refuses to surrender. If you make that decision today, if you say, from this moment forward, I no longer rent my attitude to circumstance, I own it, I lead it, I protect it, then you are already halfway to greatness. Because the world bends to the will of those who stand tall in spirit even when the body is weary. Stand tall, my friend. Now, let us now finish this. You've made it this far. That tells me something about you. It tells me you're no longer content to merely survive. You want to master life, and mastery begins in the mind. The final layer of building an unbreakable positive mental attitude is this. You must have a chief definite aim. Without purpose, the mind drifts. Without a burning goal, the mind wanders like a leaf in the wind, pushed and pulled by fear, doubt, distraction, and weakness. You must anchor your mind to something greater than comfort. You must wake up every day with a reason so powerful, so vivid, so personal, that nothing can shake it out of you, not fear, not failure, not fatigue. Your definite chief aim is not just a goal, it is your identity in action. It is who you are becoming, directed by vision and sustained by obsession. Every man I ever studied who rose to greatness, every one had this. They didn't kind of want it, they didn't hope for it, they lived it. Their purpose was not something they did, it was something they became. Ask yourself, what do I want so badly that I am willing to suffer for it? What do I crave so deeply that I am willing to be misunderstood, ridiculed, doubted, and even alone to achieve it? What kind of life would make me feel that every breath I took was worth the pain it cost? Once you have that, burn it into your subconscious. Read it aloud morning and night. Feel it as already done. Speak it with emotion. Write it in stone, because vague desires produce vague results. But clarity commands the universe. And once you are clear, once your purpose is fixed in your mind like the North Star, your positive mental attitude will become not just your shield, but your sword. Now listen to me carefully. The man who has a purpose and protects his mental attitude becomes unstoppable. He may be delayed but never denied. He may fall but always rises. He may struggle but never retreats. Why? Because he understands that attitude is the hinge upon which the doors of destiny swing. Your attitude determines whether a failure becomes fuel or your finish, whether a loss becomes a lesson or a lifelong excuse, whether a hardship becomes your downfall or your rise. But you must protect that attitude like a warrior guards his sword. You must defend it from negative influence. This includes toxic people, poisonous media, and your own inner critic. Mental laziness. This includes gossip, self-pity, and any thought that lowers your energy. Victim thinking. No matter what life throws at you, take responsibility. Own it, shape it, rise from it. Never let another person or situation decide the meaning of your life. That power is yours alone. Now allow me to speak directly to your heart. As a man who spent his life studying the greats and lifting the forgotten, you are not here by accident. You were created with a purpose. You have something the world needs. Your very existence is proof that your destiny is real. But it will not manifest if your mind is filled with fear, self-doubt, and excuses. Your job is to cleanse your inner world, feed your mind the words of greatness, read biographies of giants, speak affirmations, take bold action, and above all, think thoughts that lift, expand, empower, and direct you forward. Every time you do, you grow. Every time you allow fear to control your mind, you shrink. Growth or decay, that is the choice, every single day. Now let me give you a rule that has never failed me. Act as if it were impossible to fail. I don't say this lightly. I say it because fear has stolen more dreams than failure ever could. The fear of failure keeps men small. The anticipation of defeat is often more powerful than defeat itself. But what happens if you remove the possibility of failure? What if you say, I cannot fail, I can only learn, I cannot lose, I can only adjust, I cannot break, I can only bend and bounce back stronger? That, my friend, is power. That is the seed of an unbreakable mind. Because you no longer hesitate. You move. You speak. You create. You command. And in that commanding fear runs, doubt flees, and the world responds. Because confidence is magnetic. Certainty is rare. And those who possess both become leaders by spirit, not just by title. Now, hear me well. No man ever succeeded alone. But no man succeeded who waited for others to believe in him first. You must believe when others laugh. You must stand when others sit. You must speak when others mock. You must lead, even if you are still becoming what you speak of. Because the world will follow those who dare to be mentally invincible. So let me summarize what you now possess if you dare to live it. A mind that sees opportunity in every obstacle. A voice that speaks power into the soul daily. A purpose so clear, so consuming that fear has no room to breathe. A discipline so consistent that weakness becomes irrelevant. And a mindset so positive, so unshakable, that the gates of hell cannot stop your progress. This is not fantasy. This is the law. These principles are eternal. They work for Carnegie. They work for Edison. They work for Ford. And they will work for you if you work them. So the question is not, will they work? The question is, will you? Will you rise and claim your attitude daily? Will you speak with strength even when your circumstances are weak? Will you persist when everything in you wants to quit? Because if you do, then not only will you build success, you will build a life worth living. a life of depth, a life of greatness, a life that impacts generations long after your name is spoken. That is the power of an unbreakable, positive mental attitude. And it is yours now, if you decide. So I ask you as your guide, as your mentor, and as a man who gave his life to the study of success, will you decide? Because in that moment of decision, your destiny begins. And from this day forward, let your every thought, every word, every action declare to the world, I am unshakable, I am unstoppable, I am unbreakable. And so it is.